most of them actually, once they learn about it, are even more intrigued and like, okay, yeah, that's a community I want to be a part of.
Through our participation in a project with Brookings Institution, Inclusive Growth Learning Lab with our counterparts at the Nashville Chamber and the San Diego Regional EDC, we went through an intensive year-long review process in 2017 and 2018, looking at why are certain parts of our economy growing and why do we continue to have multi-generational poverty? And it was fascinating to cross-check that with some of our peers. Those conversations spilled over into my ACCE Metro Cities peer group. One of the discoveries from that process, and I think it confirmed something that we had known for a long time, Vincent, I think, and that was oftentimes as a state and oftentimes as an Indianapolis region, we are not discerning enough or not selective enough with incentives. We were determined to come up with clearer criteria for how and when we're going to recommend that our communities, starting with the city of Indianapolis, how they use incentives to really push the kind of behaviors that we want to see among businesses, specifically better wages, better benefits, jobs with more long-term growth potential.
We already had a very good business-friendly incentive process, and we also were implementing something this strategy that hasn't been really done before anywhere. And really, once we started digging into some of the work that we did with Brookings and a couple other metros, we realized that incentives was the one mechanism that we could leverage to really create an inclusive outcome. When we look at it, they're not equitably distributed amongst different companies or even different locations. They're kind of concentrated in different pockets within our own city. So we realized very quickly, hey, this is probably the best avenue to kind of attack and to utilize. We are now requiring that 5% workforce contribution account, which is 5% of any total award, which is going to go pretty much directly back to their own workforce as a benefit to them or to the community at large, which we also feel like that's a win.
I do think this is something that chambers, regardless of whether they've got economic development programs within their chamber or they're in a separate organization, that any chamber can take on. It's really, Vincent, it's the analytical heft to kind of make the case. You know what I mean? So the ability to do the analysis, either maybe it's chamber with a research partner or something like that, to really make that case and to bring some more transparency and analysis to how incentives are used in your community, I think is the key.
There's a perception thing that we had to work with a lot of companies. It's very unfortunate. A lot of our news outlets just picked up the $18 an hour kind of threshold. But after talk about the intention of it, the intentionality of the program, the purpose of it, most of the companies kind of jumped on and was like, oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense. We understand that their company is going to have wages that some employees that may be underneath $18 an hour. We know that you still will be able to qualify for some portion of incentives. Probably just won't be as high as what you're typically used to or what you have in the past. So most of them actually, once they learn about it, are even more intrigued and okay, yeah, that's a community I want to be a part of.